Hey backers, this is a video explaining to all of you the season-ending meets for the 2025-26 short course season. All of these meets are now posted on our web and open for sign-up. They all have the same deadline of Thursday, February 12th, so about 3 weeks from now. If you are a new family, this is essential viewing. If you're an experienced family, maybe not. Maybe you can just read the PowerPoint and that'll be a good one for you. But try to keep it under 10 minutes. So with that in mind, here we go. Share and all right. So season ending meets for the 2025-26 season. The basics, everyone has a championship meet. This is the biggest thing that confuses a lot of people. They see regional championship meet, for example, and they think, well, my kid's not good enough or not qualified or hasn't done a lot of meets. Everyone has a meet, and we want everyone to do one of these meets. 2026 has the same basic format as the last several years with a regional championship meet and then 3 state championship meets. But a couple things are different about each one, so we'll get into that as we go. Like I said, 4 different season ending meets. The regional championship meet is highlighted because we host that. That's at Verona, February 20th through the 22nd. And then there are 3 different state championship meets. There's a 10 under meet, also hosted by BAC, an 11 to 14 meet, and a senior state championship meet. Um, Sort of, right? This is the meet. These are the 4 meets that affect 90 to 95% of back swimmers. Our senior options, our older swimmers, have a couple other meets that they do attend. There's a meet called the Speedo Sectional Meet in Orlando, Florida, and there's a meet called NCSA Junior Nationals, or excuse me, Speedo Sectionals in Fargo, and then the NCAA or NCSA meet in Orlando. Coach Chris will be emailing swimmers that are qualified for these meets, or has already been actually, a lot of information. And if any new swimmers qualify, we'll get them in touch too. And at some point, we're going to have Chris put together a little bit of a slideshow like this on what are the different meets for our senior athletes to kind of educate those with up and coming young swimmers. Here's cool. New regional logo. We had a good regional logo the last couple of years, but we dusted it off and got a brand new one for something. Super excited to see what Simply Swimming, which is spelled wrong there, can do with this fabulous new logo. So the regional championship meet. This is hosted by BAC at Verona, Friday, February 20th through Sunday, February 22nd. This meet sort of has, we always say this meet has serves kind of 2 masters or has sort of a dual purpose. It is both a season-ending meet and a last chance qualifier. So the season-ending meet. So about 30% of swimmers in our LSC advance to one state meet or the other. That means 70%, maybe 65 of swimmers, so at least 2/3 finish their season at the regional championship meet. This is a special meet. This is what we've worked toward the entire year. This is, in theory, the time where swimmers should go their biggest abundance of best times. For our older groups, we taper for this meet, which is a gradual reduction in practice volume and intensity to really kind of get them physically primed to do really well. For our younger swimmers, we adjust practice by doing extra work on starts and turns and finishes and those sort of race skills. And basically, it's a great atmosphere and a great meet for your swimmers that are finishing their season. It is also a last chance qualifier for swimmers that have state meet aspirations. This could be someone that has 1 or 2 cuts and they think they can get up to 3 or 4. Someone that has no cuts and thinks they can get their first one. So this is both a season-ending meet and also a last chance to qualify for the next level of state championship meets. What's confusing about this is there are time standards. This is the most confusing part of the meet. The way that this meet works is the time standards listed for every event when you go in to sign up are actually the state time standards, and it's slower than time standards. Meet like, we're going to A+ next weekend. You have to have a certain time. You have to go at least 29.99 in your 50 backstroke to qualify or something like that. This meet, regionals, is the opposite. If you have that state cut, if you are already that fast, you may not do that event at this meet. So basically what we end up with is kind of the best of the rest situation. So the fastest swimmer at regionals is going to be someone that's a 10th or 2 off of that state cut, maybe more in some events, but generally speaking. The worst seeded swimmer at regionals is going to be somebody with a no time. No times count. You don't have to have a time to do this meet. Basically, the only people excluded are people that already have state cuts in that specific event. If your swimmer has 3 or 4 state cuts, they are welcome to do regionals. They just have to do events that are something other than those 3 or 4. There's a relatively new rule for regional championships. I should probably take that out. It's been 4 or 5 years now, but it's new to me when you've been doing this 25 years. It's called the win and in rule. This means that for any event, any 12 and under event that is 200 yards or shorter, 11, 12, 200 back, 8 and under, 25 fly. Any of those events, whoever wins the event at regionals gets to go to state regardless of their time. So if they're still a half second short of the state cut, but they're the fastest one in our region, congratulations, you're going to state. And with that, you get all the different bonus events and everything else, same as any other qualifier. So this is a really good rule. This has really added a lot of juice to the regional meet. And it also has encouraged a lot of kids to try something new. Maybe your 10-year-old's not so sure about the 100 fly, but if they're one of only 4 or 5 kids in the event, they got a good shot at being the best one in the event, and maybe that tips the scales and convinces them to do it. So keep that in mind when you're selecting events. State championship meets. So 3 different meets broken down by age. Really similar format to 2025 with a couple tweaks for each one. The biggest change being that the 11-12 events for 11 to 14 state are now timed final. Previously, it was prelim final where you would swim. Most of the events were prelim final. The shorter ones, you would swim once in the morning. The top swimmers would advance and then swim again at night. The meet was just too big, too long, too crowded, took up too much resource. And so we wanted to make the meet more easily digestible and ultimately provide a better experience for the swimmers. And what we're trying this year is to switch those 11-12 events to just time finals. So like most any other meet, they just do it once. And if you're the fastest, you win. And if you're 12th, you get 12th. Each meet has its own format and rules, and the last chance to qualify for any of these, as we mentioned, is the regional championship meet. All 3 meets are currently posted. We don't have like logos for a couple of them, but most of the details are right. So posted, and the very skeletal family information document should be linked under each one as well. There are eligibility reports posted for each one. If you notice anything that seems out of whack, your swimmer's missing a time, or there's something that just doesn't look right to you, let us know right away so we can look into that before we get to the end of the season rush. All right, here's the state meets in order. The 10 under state meet hosted by Back Again. We did this meet last year with a Dr. Seuss theme, and it was awesome. This is the Lego theme meet for this year for 2026. It's February 28th and March 1st in Verona. It has 8 and under events and 9-10 events. There are not single age events, right? So some of you might have done the single age state meet in Racine in December and qualified as a 9-year-old. Those cuts don't exist for this meet. You can qualify as an 8 and under or as a 10 and under. So 9-year-olds have to meet those same 10 under qualifying. And this is all reflected in the eligibility report. The boys' sessions are in the AM and the girls' sessions are in the PM. Again, meet packet is the family information doc is posted. So as you might have mentioned or might have heard there, that's 2 weekends in a row, regional championship and the 10 under state championship meet where Back is hosting. We take a tremendous amount of pride. We host better meets than anybody, in my opinion, especially these meets that I'm getting interrupted by Jesse, especially these meets that require a lot of pomp and circumstance, right? Like you need to have a little more show and flash for a 10 under state to get them excited versus a senior state with a lot of 15 and over athletes. Consequently, we need volunteers for these 2 weekends. We need volunteers even if your children aren't in these meets. If you are a winter session swimmer, you are required to volunteer for at least one of these meets, regardless of whether your swimmer typically does meets or does these specific meets or what have you. We will be sending more information. It says has gone out, has not gone out yet. The more information, this will go out soon with more information on that, and sign up will be open early next week. 11 to 14 state meet. So this is March 6th through 8th in Pleasant Prairie Recplex, hosted by Waukesha. This has 11-12 events and 13-14 events. Again, no single age cuts for you 11-year-olds. Most of the 13-14 events are prelim final. New for 2026, all the 11-12 events are time final. And also new for 2026, there are standards for the 13-14 50s of stroke. This is a change, but it is a simplification. Last year, if you weren't aware, the rule was if you had the 13-14 girls 100 butterfly, you could also select the 50 butterfly as an event. For this year, this 50 butterfly has its own separate time standards that we made up after collecting a couple of years of data. So it's confusing in that it's a change, but it's ultimately much simpler and more straightforward and more what you're used to than what we've done in the past. Senior state meet. So same format as 2025, a 3-day meet with just senior athletes. The biggest change for this one is, again, the same thing where we had standards for the 50s of stroke as opposed to what we had last year. Senior can be any age. If you're an 11-year-old and you have cuts for this meet, you're welcome to, well, you're theoretically welcome to do it. We probably wouldn't encourage it, but it especially is intended for athletes 15 years and older. It's the same weekend as 10 Under State, was a day earlier, so February 27th through March 1st in Schrader.
Yeah.
One thing to note, and Chris and the other high school coaches will be peppering you with emails about this, is if your swimmer has times from any meet can count. So if your swimmer, especially more likely like the high school boys that are in their season right now, if you went to the Marquette invite and your swimmer got a state cut, that counts. Conference meet, dual meet, whatever it counts. We just have to get that information to the coaches. Chris will be the hub for that. Chris will be the focus point for that. And we need to get those so we can get them in there. Right now, obviously, those times are not in our system, so they will not show up on our eligibility report, but your swimmer can qualify with them. A couple of miscellaneous things. We just talked about the different meets in age group order, but not chronological order. By weekends, it goes, you can see here, the weekend of February 20th through 22nd, regional championships, 27th through March 1st, both the 10 under and the senior state meet. And then the following weekend is the 11 to 14 state meet. The regional championship also offers time trials on Saturday and Sunday. So this is intended to be one true last chance in a different event. So a swimmer blows their turn in their 50 for they're so close to the state cut they totally slipped on the block, so they blew their turn, or whatever, they had a great backstroke race but they disqualified on their non-continuous turn and you want one more shot at it. That's what the time trials are for. This is not meant to be like, oh, we're still 3 seconds away, but it's her favorite, she just wants to do it one more time this season. That's not really the intent. The intent is for people that are very close. So if that comes up during the course of the meet, we'll have conversations with you, or you're welcome to have conversations with your swimmer's lead coach. The sign-up deadline for all of these is February 12th. Obviously, we can make changes to especially the state meets after that, but we wanted one deadline to get everything all lined up and set up. We've done this for a couple other meets during the year. That way, everybody should have at least a plan of what their season-ending meet schedule looks like. Regionals, we really need you guys to have your entries set that weekend. They're due that Friday to us. We are the host, but instead of like when we host the Holiday Splash, we can kind of play fast and loose by adding kids at the last minute. When we host an LSC championship meet, the rules are much tighter about what the meet host can do. So we really need things buttoned up as much as we can by that February 12th deadline. All 3 state meets, also February 12th. Those we can definitely make changes to, and we will make changes to. But it's good to have a draft in there so we can look at it the week of regionals, have conversations with kids. You sure about the 50 breast? What about the 100 fly instead? And then we go into the weekend with a pretty good draft, and then we're going to have 15, 20, 40 new qualifiers at regionals, and new events at regionals, so we can make those changes then. All right, thank you very much. Hopefully that was pretty painless and had a lot of information. Biggest thing with this is to ask, right? This is the most individualized part of the season, where these kind of general statements about what the meet is and who should do it and what events they should do get thrown out the window. This is very selective, very highly individualized. So talk with your swimmer's coach, talk with your swimmer about what they want to do, and then reach out with any questions ASAP so we can get it all figured out by February 12th. Thanks a lot. It's going to be a great end of the season. We're going to go real fast. Go back. See, now I got to go do the stop share, and this is going to be a terrible close to the video. Let's try it again. Hey, everybody, it's going to be a great end of the season. We're going to swim real fast and go back.